Good afternoon. It's Father Steve here. We've been talking about harvest during the week, and one of the things that I've been thinking about is about generosity. Think about all of the things that we can be generous with. It can be not just our money, but it can be our time, our gifts and our talents, and the way in which we offer them to other people. Have a little conversation about the things that we've offered to people when we actually have something to give, a gift that we give to another people. Jesus and other figures in the other scriptures tell us also to give generously. They tell us to share what we have, not because we are rich, but sometimes just because we have enough ourselves. Do we actually need more than enough? How much is enough? Is it possible to have too much, while some people in the world have nothing? I'd like to tell you a story. It's about a film, a movie that came out in 1987, and it's called Babettes Feast. And it's about a person who was in charge of a church, of a religious organisation, and they were very strict. They had very strict rules, and they didn't believe in parties, and they didn't believe in celebrating, and they ate very simple food, bread and water and porridge and things like that, and everyone that went to that church all ate and in the same way, and they didn't celebrate anything at all. And what happened then was that they hired somebody to come and work for them, a new chef in charge of their kitchen, and she was called Babette. And one day, Babette won the lottery. She won loads of money on the lottery. She won £100,000. I'd like you to have a think about what you would spend £100,000 on. Would you spend it all on yourself? Would you give some to charity? Who would you give it to? Have a conversation about that. Or would you buy one or two special things for yourself? What sort of things would you buy? Well, Babette took this £100,000 and she spent it on buying food for the whole village where she lived. And it wasn't just the bread and water that they're used to. She bought them a feast. She bought them wine, cake, chocolate, meat, fine foods and puddings. And they had a wonderful feast. And do you know what that wonderful feast did? It made them happy. It brought the whole community together. And they partied and shared and laughed with one another. And they saw that life doesn't have to be strict to be good. And I know it's difficult at the moment, and we're all looking forward to a time when communities can be brought together. But food is a good way to do that. And harvest reminds us of sharing food. Of sharing food with the whole world, particularly with those who are used to living on bread and water. and the celebration that can come to see other people fed. That's partly what we do on a Sunday in church when we have communion. People come to feed on the communion bread, and it reminds them that as God feeds us, so it's our job to go and feed others, but not just in a mean way, giving our leftovers and our scraps, but to give them the things that they need to celebrate all of their life. Babettes feast. And so, dear God, help us to be generous with our time and with our resources. Help us to recognise the ways in which we are fed, and help us to go out into the world, this harvest and always, to help and feed others. Amen.